This episode is sponsored by Kinsta. Between juggling client meetings, managing your website, and keeping up with everyday tasks, who has the time to stress out about website security? Well, with Kinsta, the technical stuff is taken care of, so you can focus on what you do best. Kinsta provides managed hosting for WordPress, offering lightning-fast load times, top-tier security, and unmatched human-only customer support. Whether you're a business owner, web developer, or running a digital agency, Kinsta makes managing your website easy and efficient. Kinsta provides enterprise-grade security, being one of the few hosting providers for WordPress with SOC 2 and other certifications, guaranteeing the highest level of security for your website. Thanks to their unlimited free expert-led migrations, Kinsta ensures a smooth transition for you from other hosting providers. Customers have reported 200% faster load times post-migration to their platform. What I find cool about Kinsta is their fast and reliable customer service and premium features that are included at no extra cost. Ready to experience Kinsta's hosting for yourself? Get your first month free when you sign up at kinsta.com today. That's KINSTA.com. This episode is brought to you by PropelOff. People take authentication for granted, but it's more than how customers log into your product. It's how you manage your relationship with your users. The easiest way to make authentication your advantage is to use PropelOff. PropelOff is more than just functional. It's powerful. With tools like managed UIs, enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, PropelOff adapts as your product grows. And the best part? When off is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Save dev time, win over your customers, and propel your business forward with PropelOff. Check them out at propeloff.com. That's PROPELAUTH.com.
HR is facing a couple challenges right now. New worker expectations primarily. I think in the future is just leaning into that shift and working with these HR departments to understand what is it that this newer generation of employees is looking for, what feels authentic to them, and what actually gets them more engaged and connected at work. And right now that's games, but it could be some other features or functionality. But I do think the world of expensive on-sites that happen once a year and 360 performance reviews is the only way to get a pulse on how are people doing? Are they engaged? Are they motivated by their work? I think that is going to pass, and hopefully Braid is part of that. My name is Quinn Li, and I'm the CEO and founder of Braid.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do next.
Took many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
A company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve more.
Most proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was a
Yes,
pain.
we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time. The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind you.
Took it off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it.
It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story.
I'm your host, Noah Labhart, and today, how Quinn Li is building fun games for your teams to stay connected every day through play. This episode is sponsored by Speakeasy. Grow your API user adoption and improve engineering velocity with friction-free integration experiences. With Speakeasy's platform, you can now automatically generate SDKs in 10 languages and Terraform providers in minutes. Visit speakeasy.com/codestory and generate your first SDK for free. This message is sponsored by QA Wolf. QA Wolf gets engineering teams to 80% automated end-to-end test coverage and helps them ship 5 times faster by reducing QA cycles from hours to minutes. With over 100 5-star reviews on G2 and customer testimonials from SalesLoft, Drata, and AutoTrader, you're in good hands. Join the Wolfpack at QAWolf.com. Quinn Li got into tech well before college. In high school, she was into fashion and would take pictures of herself and her friends. She wanted to share these pictures and found her way to Squarespace, which ultimately led her to getting into HTML and CSS, and the rest is history. Outside of tech, she plays a lot of tennis and teaches aerial. I had to ask what this was, and she explained it was the art form that you see in the circus when people are climbing the sheets in the air acrobatically. Quinn Li has been focused on productivity throughout her career. Eventually, she started to swing her focus to building connections at work through play. One of the games she and her team built went viral on TikTok, at which point they knew they were onto something. This is the creation story of Braid.
So Braid is an employee engagement platform that's focused on bringing people together at work through play, specifically games. I've worked at a bunch of different companies, and I've always thought of myself as a very people-focused leader. So bringing things like games, activities, icebreakers into the workplace just to help people build that kind of rapport and connection so that they can be more productive and collaborate better. That's been very important to me since I started working. When I founded Braid almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy to think about, we actually were focused not on work, but just bringing people together through play, just anyone. We were building social games to help people get to know their friends better or the people around them. We got some funding. We built a couple different apps and games. One of them went very viral last summer on TikTok. So 20, 30 million views within a month, tons of installs. That actually showed us that the thing that people were using our games the most for was work. And so when I heard that, when I saw that, I was interviewing these people, it was this aha moment where, yeah, that totally makes sense. I also would have used this product when I was working at a larger company. And so leaned into that, stopped working on the mobile app, started building out on work platforms where people are already spending their time. So Slack and Zoom is coming soon. That's how we became an HR tech company.
Let's dive into the MVP. So I hear a couple spots you could probably start that at. So I'm really curious where you're going to go with that. But tell me about the MVP there, that first version of the product you built. How long did it take to build, and what sort of tools were you using to bring it to life?
So with the mobile app, we did build everything in React Native. I have a strong hypothesis with consumer products in particular. Consumers don't really like, I don't want to say they don't like MVPs, but it's really hard to get signal on a true MVP in the same sense it is in the B2B world. We did do a full kind of design pass, and it took a week. So in startup time, that's not too bad, but we took a week and actually designed it out on Figma, built it in React Native, and it was just a simple game. Basically, you would log in, or you'd open up the app. You would get 5 questions a day about yourself. And then once you answered them, you would see how the rest of the people on the platform would respond. And you could compare and then go initiate other kind of trivia-based games with those people if you wanted to. It wasn't really an MVP in that it was very functional. The designs were done out. That was intentional just because I've found in my years of building consumer products, consumers' expectations for products have gotten so much higher that when you put something out there that kind of looks janky or sketchy, or maybe like it won't work, that has already biased the user. And so you won't get as good of a signal on, is this product actually going to be something that works, unless it looks high quality enough that people will use it.
Well, let's stay on the MVP for a minute. Let's flip into decisions and trade-offs you had to make with that MVP. I'd like to dive into either decisions that you made in building that, but also decisions you made in how you progressed it while you were learning from that MVP. I'm really curious about some of those you had to work through and how you coped with the decisions.
The biggest decision when we were starting was just, how are we going to afford to build this? My background, while I studied computer science, I haven't built a mobile app in over a decade. And we had one engineer or one person that was technical. So he was like, I'm gonna build this as quickly as I can. We're going to take as many shortcuts as we can, or we're going to have to bring a couple other team members on. Given that it was so early, we say, you build this as fast as you can. I cede all technical control over to you. And then on my side, I'm not a classically trained designer, but I've had to learn. And so that was another thing where I bought a Figma course, taught myself how to translate my rough sketches into actual designs. And so that, I think, was the initial trade-off just on labor and just how are we going to get this thing live? We don't have a full staff team. Once we launched the app, I think it was trying to figure out what the right metric was for signal on, is this something we should keep working on? Pulling on some past experiences, talking to a few other people who've launched and built things in the consumer and gaming space. We settled on retention, literally day one retention. How many people who installed the app yesterday, how many of them are here tomorrow and playing it, or the next day, rather. If we could get decent day one retention, we should keep working on this. Thankfully, we had some comps and benchmarks to base off of, but it was hard. There were definitely some days where, we'd get some installs. We had really high day one retention. 2 days later, the people who installed day one retention was basically zero. Trying to figure out what was going on there and then when to walk away from that specific game.
This message is sponsored by SnapTrade. Link in user brokerage accounts and build world-class investing experiences with SnapTrade's unified brokerage API. With over $12 billion in connected assets and over 300,000 connected accounts, SnapTrade's API quality and developer experience are second to none. SnapTrade is SOC 2 certified and uses industry-leading security practices. Developers can use the company's official client SDKs to build investing experiences in minutes without the limitations of traditional aggregators. Get started for free today by visiting snaptrade.com/codestory.
I'm so pumped about my new offshore dev partner. I'm saving a ton, and they even signed an NDA. Wait, is that our financial statements on the internet?
My dev partner has great communication. They can acknowledge an issue or email message super fast after they run it through Google Translate, of course.
I have a call set up with my partner right now. Hey guys, are you there? Wait, did you just ghost me?
Ever been in these situations? Yeah, me too. That is, until I found Tekla. Tekla is world-class, nearshore talent for technology teams who demand the highest standards. The platform gives you access to over 50,000 vetted Latin America technology experts, including developers, designers, and IT professionals, all fluent in English and all in your time zone. In 7 days or less, you can have your tech expert hired through Tekla's fast, efficient hiring process, which helps you find and onboard top candidates. Get senior-level talent at competitive rates, often half the cost of hiring in the U.S., but aligned with U.S. work culture and time zones, making teamwork easy and productive. Hire the best tech experts today with Tekla. Learn more at tekla.io. That's TECLA.io. This episode is sponsored by Speakeasy. Whether you're growing the user adoption of your public API or streamlining internal development, SDKs can turn the chore of API integration into effortless implementation. Unburden your API users from guessing their way around your API while keeping your team focused on your product. Shorten the time to live integration and provide a delightful experience for your customers. With Speakeasy's platform, you can now automatically generate up-to-date, robust, idiomatic SDKs in 10 languages and Terraform providers in just a matter of minutes. SDKs are feature-rich with type safety, auto-retries, and pagination. Everything you need to give your API the developer experience it deserves. Deliver a premium API experience without the premium price tag. Visit speakeasy.com/codestory to get started and generate your first SDK for free. This episode is sponsored by Mailtrap, an email platform developers love. Try for free at mailtrap.io. That's mailtrap.io. So then from that point, how did you mature and progress the product? I'm curious about how you built your roadmap, how you went about deciding that, okay, this was the next most important thing to build or to address with Braid, because you have to go through a certain process to rank those things, right? There's a certain art form. So I'm really curious what you have to say.
At Braid, and this has been a thing since our beginning, we don't build roadmaps out for more than a month. I think it's just so many different signals come in and learnings come in that priorities change constantly. So we're usually very clear on what we need to do for the week or 2 weeks out. And then usually there's a vague sense or a bit of a backlog for the month, 6 weeks out. And we do weekly planning every Monday. And so it's really just an open discussion with the team or what's the most important thing. And usually, depending on the week, we have very clear alignment on this is the thing that needs to get done this week. Everything else, we'll check back in next Monday or maybe 2 weeks from now. Not a long backlog, which I think makes it pretty easy to just say what's most important this week. We'll tackle it now. Everything else has to be next week. I'm really big on focus just because with small teams, there's only so much you can get done.
So I'm curious about team, right? To build something as powerful as Braid and interactive and about connection, you have to have the right people that want that and that see the value in that. And I'm curious about how you built that team and what you looked for in those people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you.
We definitely have made some hiring mistakes in the last 2 years. For all founders listening, and I think managers in general, if you can. If you know it's not going to work out, fire fast or structure it such that you don't have to do a full-time hire. Think about contracting for a trial period, and it's paid. But we've switched to this model, and I think that has helped us find the people that the team collaborate well with. There's nothing like just working on a project together for a week or two to see, is this actually going as planned? Is this better than we thought? Or is this just a mess and no hard feelings, but it's not going to work out? So big fan of the contract to hire model. And then, some people you just know, like our founding engineer, Titus, he came highly recommended from a really good friend that I trust, who had worked with him for a number of years. We did a trial and he just knocked it out of the park, and rapport was so easy. And I think those are the things I look for. It's just good communication. Do we feel like working together is easier? Like we're energized by working together? Or is it really hard? And are things taking longer than expected? And it's not even anyone's fault necessarily, but the chemistry just isn't there. Those are the things that I look for during those work contracts. I think the other thing that I'm always looking for is somebody who's very growth-minded. So even if they don't have the skills or they've never done the thing that we're talking about exactly, if they're excited by that and they jump in and they do a good job, like that's a great signal, because people with high growth potential, like they will grow as your company grows.
This message is sponsored by QA Wolf. If slow QA processes bottleneck your software engineering team and you're releasing slower because of it, you need a solution. You need QA Wolf. QA Wolf gets engineering teams to 80% automated end-to-end test coverage and helps them ship 5 times faster by reducing QA cycles from hours to minutes. With over 100 5-star reviews on G2 and customer testimonials from SalesLoft, Drata, AutoTrader, and many more, you're in good hands. Ready to ship faster with fewer bugs? Join the Wolfpack at QAWolf.com to see if they can help you squash the QA bottleneck. This message is sponsored by SnapTrade. Link in user brokerage accounts and build world-class investing experiences with SnapTrade's unified brokerage API. With over $12 billion in connected assets and over 300,000 connected accounts, SnapTrade's API quality and developer experience are second to none. SnapTrade is SOC 2 certified and uses industry-leading security practices. Developers can use the company's official client SDKs to build investing experiences in minutes without the limitations of traditional aggregators. Get started for free today by visiting snaptrade.com/codestory. Let's flip to scalability. Was this built to scale from day one, or was scale in mind, maybe abstractions and things like that? Or have there been interesting areas or cool stories where you've had to fight it as you've grown?
We engineered our backends and data models to scale a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean up to 5,000 or 10,000 users, with the understanding that if we have to support more than those, especially concurrently, we would be able to relatively quickly. So, been known, like, if we get to 5,000, 10,000 concurrent users, some things might stop working, but we have a plan to scale that up if needed. Technically, I think we've done a really good job with our planning in terms of, okay, we know we can't support 10,000 concurrent players right now, but we have a really good plan to move past that. And we did have a very high number of concurrents a few weeks ago because we went live in a very large Slack community, which had 10,000 something users in it. So that was a really fun stress test, and we did well, and our systems did well there. The part that has been a little bit unexpected, and this is on me because I am our designer right now, was actually how some of our designs and the UI didn't scale as much. It's very different when you have 10, 20, 40 people playing a game and having a leaderboard for those people versus having 5,000 people play and a leaderboard of 5,000, and your UI is embedded within Slack. So technically, we did a really good job of preparing for increases in user bases. I think our design actually had to catch up a bit, where we just didn't think about what does it look like when 5,000 people are playing this game, and how do you report who's in the top 5 of those 5,000 people.
As you step out on the balcony and you look across all that you've built thus far, what are you most proud of?
The thing I am most proud of, I would say, is our team. We are a very lean team, only 3 people full-time, and then depending on the week, 3 to 5 of us part-time. so contractors. And it's very project-based, so we bring them in. But I'm incredibly proud of just how much we have accomplished as such a small, lean team. And every person who is on that team, I think, has really far exceeded expectations and grown a ton over the last year or two. And yeah, I would say the people are what really excite me and I'm the most proud of, just because seeing everyone grow this much, seeing all that we've done in the past year or two. I don't know if I would have thought this was possible with such a small team.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
Probably biggest mistake I made, and this was almost exactly a year ago, was we were coming out of an accelerator. We had really good funding from two top-name VCs, A16Z and Pear VC, and we were just getting a lot of encouragement. We hadn't launched anything with real traction yet, but we were getting a lot of encouragement to fundraise even more. Even though we had almost 2 years of runway, more than enough money to get several different MVPs out. First founder mistakes, I think the people around me were like, there was a lot of energy and momentum for it. I decided to go for it. I said, why not? I don't need the money, but I'll spend a little bit of time on this. And a little bit of time quickly turned into, I'd say 30, 40 hours a week. Plus, on top of that, we were trying to launch the app. So I think at the time it was a huge distraction. We got pretty far in the process. We had a couple different funds offering us terms, and one, we actually started redlining a term sheet with them. And then it was somewhere in there. And again, this took a month, which relatively compressed, but still it's a month of the CEO being 50, 60% distracted on something that isn't core to actually launching or building a product. And we didn't need the money. And we were redlining these terms, going back and forth. And I had to say pause. I don't think this makes sense. So I pulled in the full-time team and I chatted with them and I said, hey, I know we've been really excited about the idea of working with another tier one investor, and we're excited by all this money. More runway is never really a bad thing, but looking at these terms that we're redlining, and I know I've already sunk in all this time, but like, I don't know if these terms make sense. I don't know if this is the right time for us to bring on money and to give up a board seat and to give up a fair amount of equity. And is the team okay with that? And, you know, if they're not, I'm happy to push this forward and we're going to do this, but what do we think? And everyone on the team, it was a unanimous vote where they were like, you know what? We don't know why we're prioritizing the fundraise. We're really excited about the product that we're building. We should be focusing on that, and we don't need the money. We did decide to not move forward with the funding round. I think we're still on good terms with those investors. So if we do need to raise a round, hopefully we can reach out again. But that was a learning for me, whereas if you don't need the money just because everyone around you says, oh, you should do it, it's a good time. Like, really evaluate for yourself, because fundraising takes a lot of time and money, which you don't necessarily realize up front, and it can be really distracting.
Okay, I'm really curious what the future looks like for Braid, for the product and for your team.
We intend to keep the team pretty small, and I think this contract-based working model is really working for us, where the core team that leads specific functions is full-time, but then we all have a couple different contractors or agencies that we enjoy working with. So trying to keep it small. We might have to bring someone on in growth or sales this year, but really trying not to scale up the team too much, because it just gives us a lot of flexibility of what to do with our capital and what projects we want to commit to. As for the product, taking a step higher up, and I'm learning a ton. My background was in product management and software and not HR, but we've been finding ourselves selling into HR departments at a lot of companies. So taking a step higher up, looking at HR is facing a couple challenges right now. And so that's new worker expectations primarily, where employees are just a little more disengaged with how things have been done. They have different expectations around their careers and compensation and benefits, and also how they want to show up at work. Ultimately, Braid is building technology that is meeting this newer generation where they're at and helping them connect at work in a way that feels really authentic to them. And so right now, we're building games embedded into Slack. We'll be building out an interactive app on Zoom so people can have these games and activities more readily available on Zoom calls. I think in the future, it's just leaning into that shift and working with these HR departments to understand what is it that this newer generation of employees is looking for, what feels authentic to them, and what actually gets them more engaged and connected at work. And right now, that's games, but it could be some other features or functionality. But I do think the world of expensive on-sites that happen once a year And 360 performance reviews is the only way to get a pulse on how are people doing? Are they engaged? Are they motivated by their work? I think that is going to pass, and hopefully Braid is part of that.
Let's switch to you, Quinn Li. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
This is going to be a hot take, but I try not to look up to people that I haven't met or worked with. I think like Lenny R., who runs Lenny's newsletter and podcast, I think he has so many amazing speakers and amazing experiences to draw from. And I definitely appreciate his podcast and blog as like a resource. I think I have a distinction there. I wouldn't necessarily look up to him because I haven't met him. I haven't worked with him. I don't know. Is he a really great person to work with, or is he just really good at writing and producing podcasts? Marty Kagan is another one, very OG product builder who's written a lot and has really great talks, and I find them very resourceful. That being said, in terms of people that I actually look up to, I'm much more closely tied to them, as in I've worked with them. I found them as consistent just sources of brilliance or inspiration. And so one of those people, his name is Josh. He was a former CEO of mine, and I think he's just brilliant, really great product mind, really strong engineering mind as well. And so he's somebody that I'll always go to when I'm trying to work through a problem or get my head out of the loop that it's stuck in. And he has just like an incredible way of reframing problems and then therefore leading you to solutions. So he's one person that I really look up to, and I think he's starting a company soon. So I'm excited to see whatever he does next. And then another one is, again, somebody that I've previously worked with. Her name is Gianna. I think she's at Yahoo right now, but again, really brilliant product leader, and then also just a phenomenal people leader. And she's somebody who I think I've learned a lot of like people leadership and management skills from, where she leads with just such openness and humbleness, but then also confidence, that whenever I've brought her kind of people problems, and I've just seen it when she and I worked together as well at NerdWallet, she would just have such authenticity and like humble confidence that people really wanted to open up to her, and then also really trusted her. And she was so effective at everything she did. So 2 people that I know, have seen them in action, and very much look up to.
Well, last question, Quinn Li. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit?
Let's say they're just getting started. They've built out their MVP, and they see this massive opportunity in front of them, and they're really excited. My biggest advice to someone who's just getting started would be to start selling now. Even if you don't think it's ready, even if all the kinks and the bugs and all the different features haven't been ironed out, just start selling and make sure there's a market there for your product. Because by getting in front of customers, by getting feedback, it's going to accelerate your trajectory so much. Even if people say, this isn't exactly what I want, or I'm not interested, you can always spin it and go, you took the call, so something caught your interest. What was it that you were hoping to get out of this? Or what was it that you were hoping to find? And whatever that answer is, that's going to bring you one step closer to whatever that big business opportunity is. And I think there are a lot of really great ideas out there, but building the business is really hard. Having worked at a lot of companies that have been at various stages, I think the other inflection point that I like to give advice for is when you've gotten a little bit of traction. So maybe like Series A, usually Series A, but maybe Series B, depending on when you raised, is similar to my fundraising story or my choosing not to participate in our last round. Don't let false signs of success. You should get excited by them. Everything's an accomplishment. Founding is a really long journey. So anything to help get you excited and keep up the excitement and engagement, like you should do that. But don't let status symbols or false signs of business success stray your product strategy or your business strategy. If you close a really big Series A or you get a really big contract and suddenly you're baseline profitable, that does not mean to go scale up the team more. That does not mean to go now spend $50,000 on PR. You should really operate as if you're still trying to prove yourself out and you're still trying to find that next level of product market fit or that escape velocity growth. Because I've seen so many founders, I've been on teams where this happens, where you get a little bit of signal on, hey, oh my gosh, this really big VC just put in $5 million. That's way more money than we need. And now let's kick off all these different initiatives that we've been sitting on. But then 6 months later, none of those initiatives actually paid off. And then a year later, you look back and you're like, those initiatives were not at all what we were supposed to be doing. But something about getting that signal of, hey, we now have more money, or we just hit this milestone that we never thought we were going to hit. Something happens and people get really excited and then start making irrational decisions. So really try to stay rational.
Couldn't agree more. That's fantastic advice. Well, Quinn Li, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for telling the creation story of Braid.
Noah, thank you so much for having me.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Are you looking for legit ways to make extra money? Our friends at the Side Hustle Show have put together this cool free 60-second quiz to help you do just that. All you got to do is go to hustle.show. You can do it right from your phone. Answer a few short multiple choice questions, and it'll recommend a few episodes of the hit Side Hustle Show podcast to start with. You can add your personalized Side Hustle Show playlist to your device, learn what works, and start making more money today. Again, that's at hustle.show, or follow the award-winning Side Hustle Show in your favorite podcast app.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Psst. The best time to get permanent Everlights for your home is right now. You'll get the best price of the year. You'll get installed quickly. And with Everlights, you'll have the brightest and longest lasting lights year-round. Show your colors for the 4th of July, for your team's game day, and you'll beat the Christmas rush. Best thing is, no ladders or installer takedown for years and years to come. Everlights is your everyday lighting solution for your home or business. Click the banner for a free quote for the year's best deal.